Welcome to The West is Best by Test, where we explore the ideas and concepts that helped shape Western civilization. The Enlightenment, often regarded as the Age of Reason, laid the foundation for many of the values that define Western society today. Concepts like individual liberty, representative government, the rule of law, and religious freedom emerged as cornerstones of a world seeking to balance the powers of monarchs, clergy, and the state. Yet in our contemporary era, these values face increasing scrutiny and challenge, especially from postmodern perspectives. At its core, the Enlightenment was a response to the excesses of absolute monarchy and the intertwined dominance of state and church. Thinkers like John Locke, Montesquieu, and Voltaire sought to place the individual at the center of political and moral consideration. Locke's idea of natural rights, life, liberty, and property became instrumental in shaping liberal democracy. In two treatises of government, Locke writes, Locke, V.O., "The end of law is not to abolish or restrain, but to preserve and enlarge freedom." This notion that the law exists to protect, rather than suppress, individual liberty marked a significant departure from the feudal structures that preceded it. Montesquieu, in the spirit of the laws, emphasized the separation of powers, laying the groundwork for representative government and the checks and balances we see in modern democratic systems. Religious freedom was another critical achievement of the Enlightenment. In an age where dissent could mean persecution, Voltaire's treatise on tolerance advocated for a pluralistic society. His sharp critique of dogmatism is epitomized in his often quoted statement, Voltaire, V.O., "Think for yourselves, and let others enjoy the privilege to do so too." Voltaire's vision was not merely a defense of intellectual diversity, but a safeguard against theocratic tyranny. The Enlightenment emphasized reason, empirical evidence, and the pursuit of truth. Ideals that allowed for the flourishing of science, democracy, and human rights. Postmodernism emerged as a critique of Enlightenment ideals, questioning the universality and objectivity that thinkers of the 17th and 18th centuries celebrated. Where Enlightenment thought sought to uncover objective truths, postmodernism is often skeptical of any grand narratives or absolute truths. Jean-François Lyotard, in The Postmodern Condition, defines postmodernism as an incredulity toward meta-narratives, rejecting overarching explanations and emphasizing subjective interpretations. Michel Foucault, another significant postmodern thinker, argued that concepts like truth and justice are not universal, but products of power dynamics. In Discipline and Punish, he states, "Power is not an institution and not a structure. Neither is it a certain strength we are endowed with. It is the name that one attributes to a complex strategical situation in a particular society." While these critiques can offer valuable insights, they also challenge the foundational ideals that Enlightenment thinkers fought to establish. The postmodern rejection of objective truth can undermine the very idea of individual rights, which rely on the belief in a shared human experience and universal moral standards. The rejection of objectivity and universal values has practical consequences. If truth is always contingent and subjective, then the idea of rights, as inherent and inviolable, becomes fragile. Representative government relies on the premise that citizens can engage in rational debate and reach consensus based on common ground. The erosion of objective standards makes genuine dialogue difficult, if not impossible. Gad Saad, in The Parasitic Mind, criticizes postmodern thought for rejecting reason and objective truth, arguing that it leads to an attack on common sense. According to Saad, the denial of objective reality creates a cultural environment where feelings take precedence over facts, resulting in irrational decision-making. Stephen Hicks, in explaining postmodernism, goes further, claiming that postmodernism's deep skepticism of reason is, in part, a reaction to the perceived failure of Marxism. Hicks contends that when Marxist economic predictions failed, intellectuals turned to postmodernism to challenge the legitimacy of capitalist societies indirectly. In a postmodern framework, the rule of law, a principle that justice should be blind to power and status, is threatened when truth becomes a matter of perspective. If laws are seen merely as constructs of those in power, the legitimacy of legal systems falters. Alexander Solzhenitsyn, reflecting on the collapse of truth in the Soviet Union, warned in The Gulag Archipelago The simple step of a courageous individual is not to take part in the lie. One word of truth outweighs the world. Solzhenitsyn's insight underscores the cost of abandoning objective standards. When truth is no longer a shared ideal, power alone dictates reality. Critiques of Enlightenment thought are not inherently destructive. They can prompt necessary self-reflection. However, a wholesale rejection of the Enlightenment's legacy risks unraveling the very values that allow such critique to flourish. Individual liberty, representative government, the rule of law, and religious freedom have not been perfect in their application. Yet they remain the best mechanisms humanity has devised to balance power and protect the individual. The challenge is to uphold these Enlightenment principles while recognizing the nuances that postmodernism brings to the table. A commitment to reason, dialogue, and a shared pursuit of truth can help navigate this complex landscape. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. For supplementary reading, check out the links below this video.